What's up, guys? Welcome to Garage Apathy. So this is my 97 Toyota Chaser Tourer V. It is a factory 5-speed manual, factory 1J single turbo. So as you can see from the title of the video, this is a coilover install video. Now, I didn't film an intro. This is the car actually after the suspension install. I filmed the whole thing a few days ago, and I'm just adding this intro now so it all makes sense. The video starts with me already deep into it. The rear seats are out, interior parts. So this is the before and after moment. So as I mentioned, the coils are already installed. I haven't even adjusted them yet, but you can clearly see from stock, the rear is way lower. The front is, I'd say it's about a ½ inch lower. It's pretty close to stock height, so that still needs to be lowered. And I'm gonna do that shortly before I get my alignment here in a couple days. So here is how it looks for now. Here is the process. All right, so here we are inside of the car. I already got the back seats out. Again, I probably should have started this video a little bit sooner, but as you can see, there's a screw hole here, here, over here, and over here. So there are 4, I believe they're 10mm screws that you have to remove. They vary in size, but the shorter ones will go closer to the center. The longer ones will go closer to the outside. But you remove those, pull the seat out, and then the coil hat is right there behind this covering. So it's 3-bolt, both sides. Take those out. And then I forgot to mention this, before you completely remove the back side, because it's actually 2 different pieces, the seat that you actually sit on just pops out of place and then you can pull that out. But this one, 4 10mm screws at the bottom, and then we have 6 Phillips heads that are holding the seat belt bracket onto the actual chair backing itself. So you got to remove 2 here, 2 over there, 2 over here, and then you just move the seat belt out of the way and pull the whole seat out. All right, I've actually loosened all 6 of the bolts already, and this coil is already out, so let's go see what that looks like. All right, so I didn't even know when I bought this car that it already had suspension, but it actually has some teen or tine coils in it already. They are completely shot, just completely shot. I mean, it feels like I'm driving on solid slabs. It's so uncomfortable. So it's only the 3 bolts on the top hat, and then 1 big bolt going straight through the bottom of the coilover right here. So you just knock that out, get it loose. I had to push down on this. I'll show you on the other side when we get there, but had to push down on this to make room to pull the coilover out. But let's get the new coil in. Some screws off of here. All right, get this extremely high quality Duralast jack out of the way, or jack stand, sorry. Bracing myself on the trunk here, push down, get it in there. Come on. Whoa, that was close. All right, I'm doing this by myself, so this isn't necessarily a recommendation, just what I did. I couldn't get the coilover to stay up there, so I could put these bolts on the top hat, so I just pushed down the suspension, and now it's being held by the knuckle right here, just by the pressure of the suspension. All right, we are back in the car. Let's see the top hat in there, and now we just thread them out. Also, I almost forgot to mention, I'm not sure if this is a stock piece or if this was part of the teen coilover kit from the old ones, but there is this metal, I don't even know, I guess you could call it a washer. It's like a washer ring. I don't know if it's from the old coils or if this is stock, but I'm going to reuse it because it won't hurt anyway, so throw that back on there. Then get to threading. All right, bolts are finger tight. I'm going to get the bottom of the coil lined up before I crank those down. I don't know the torque specs. This is not the channel for torque specs. I'm gonna tighten it until it feels tight. Okay, now that we got the coil in there and lined up, get our other jack over here, or behind the disc. The coilover does not line up with the part on the knuckle, so we have to raise the knuckle. I just brought this jack. I'm gonna raise it up a little bit, as you can see, until it lines up, and then throw the bolt through. Okay, also, if you couldn't tell already, this is not an instructional video. It's more of a, this is what I'm doing today video. All right, we're back in the car to take these bolts off the top hat because I cannot get the bottom bolt to line up. The bolt is going through one side, but the other side is lopsided. So I'm going to take these bolts off so that we can get some more movement up top. And then after we get the bottom bolt lined up, we can throw these back in. finally worked. So just had to remove the bolts from the top hat, and then after I dropped the suspension, I was able to wiggle this in there. So now I'm just gonna bolt this up, and then we're gonna go put the bolts back in the top hat. Got a 19 to hold on this side to hold the nut straight. So I just got off the internet. I found out the torque spec for this bolt. The torque spec is tight. That's the torque spec. So I got a 19 for the nut on the right side, and then I'm gonna go get a big wrench so that I can crank this thing down. Alrighty, thanks to ChatGPT, we got the torque specs for our lower coilover bolt. See right here, it's 101 foot-pounds or 137 Newton meters. So let's crank that thing down. Okay, so we got our extension with our impact socket on. This is a 19 millimeter, the bottom bolt, and the nut on the other side is 19 as well. So yeah, this torque wrench is already set, so let's just get to torquing. What? That was like barely anything at all. That was 101? You know what? I'm gonna crank it down a little bit more because that wasn't a lot. Never mind, my torque wrench is good. I just tried to tighten it down with this and it was hard as hell, so good to go on this side. All right, we're back in the car. I got my coilover bolts, and then we're just gonna, yeah. Kind of got to get those studs up there. I'm going to go back outside and push it up. Be right back. All right, jacked up the bottom side of the knuckle, and the top hat bolts went straight in. All right, now we can put these on. All right, bolts are finger tight. Yeah, I was looking at the torque specs, and it was like nothing. So I'm not even going to bother torquing these. I'm just going to tighten them until they're tight, and then we'll move on to the other side. I was going to adjust the coils, but I'm just going to throw the wheel on and see what the ride height looks like, and then we'll just adjust from there. Let's throw these on and then see what the ride height looks like. And then I can already tell it's considerably lower because of the gap between the floor and the tire. I mean, it was probably like an inch with the stock tires. So now we got about a fist. So that should correlate to the fender gap. Let's find out. Man, I got to figure out an intro. I just realized I didn't even make one for this video. About to hit you with the what's going on, guys. No, I got to be like Papa Tom, bro. Good morning. Shout out Tommy F. Yeah. Shout out Garage S0. Dude, I'm the worst YouTuber, bro. I didn't even get that scene where I was lowering the jack all low to check the ride out. Anyways, it is considerably lower. So, as you can see here, I kind of got to go up into the fender now to get my hands above the tire. Ooh, you know what I'm not going to forget to do? To break the lugs loose before I jack this thing up like I did on the other side. I always do that, bro. All right. See how tight this is? Jesus! Are these OSHA approved? I think so. Steel-toed Crocs. Ugh. Oh! That almost caught my thigh, bro. All right, everything's broke. Let's get it up in the air. I'm gonna see if I can show you guys. As with every car, there are pinch welds on the Chaser, obviously, and this is where we're gonna jack it up right here. This small little section with the divot on either end, right next to the rear wheel. I like to put cardboard in between my jack and the surface I'm jacking just because it minimizes the damage. This bowl is so big though, it's gonna end up making contact, but whatever. Another important point too, make sure that your jack is centered left to right with that pinch just so you get even distribution on it. Also, don't go crazy with the jack. Just jack it up enough until you can get the wheel off. You don't want this thing flying up in the air because that's just more things that can go wrong. Oh, Jesus. The wheel that I take off, I always stuff it somewhere, wherever it fits under the car, just as a fail-safe for the jack, just to be safe. Okay, I wasn't gonna record this side because I already recorded the other side, but I didn't start recording at the beginning there, so let's start here. There is one bolt at the very bottom. Can't really see it, but it's this bolt right here. And then on the other side is the head of the bolt. So you'll loosen from the left side and hold the right side stationary. My bad, it's mirrored because we're on the other side. Loosen this side and hold that nut stationary. Let's go. Got our 19 millimeter wrench. I'm gonna go back and get the torque wrench though, because this is gonna be too hard. And then here's our 19. Okay, so we got our torque wrench. Let's take it off of this one. because this is definitely going to be hard to remove. So throw that on, so it's loose. And then we'll get the 19 on the left side. You don't even have to hold this in your hand. There's actually a lot that you can brace it against. If we're loosening it, the wrench will move downward. So you can actually brace it against the bottom of the knuckle. And then all you have to do is worry about loosening the head of the bolt. Okay, so I got the torque wrench on the head of the bolt. And then I got the 19 on there. But as you can see, when I begin to loosen it, oh my God, give me a second. Technical difficulties, I'll be right back. All right, I was wrong again. So I got this to loosen. The wrench actually moves upwards since we're on the other side. So I have it braced right there, as you can see, right here up against the chassis of the car, and it's on the bolt so that when I begin to loosen here, it'll hold that nut stationary so we can get it off. Okay, we got it. Whew. And our trick worked. You can see the wrench going through right there. And then once you break it loose, it's finger tight, so you can just loosen the rest of it with your hand. We got the bolt out. Make sure you don't lose this washer. Keep these to the side. So small tip, whenever you take a nut and bolt off, just throw the bolt back on, because I'll be losing stuff, we all be losing stuff. Keep it in one piece. So I was just about to explain, all you got to do is hit it once to break it loose, but I barely just tapped it and it's already out. So now we just got to go to the top and take the top hat bolts off. I had to stand on these studs with both feet and push down while jumping and simultaneously hitting it with this pipe wrench. Let's get this out, new coil in. All right, let's grab our other rear, indicated by the R right there. All right, camera's about to die. So from this point forward, it is the same process as the other side. So I'll be back when we move to the front. Okay, so now we're at the front. Here is the pinch weld that we're going to be jacking off of. Here's the indentation, boom, right there. Almost forgot to break them loose again. Oh my God. Jesus. We're back. We're on the front now. This was about twice as involved as the rear. I ended up having to go to AutoZone to get a ball joint separator because I had to separate the upper control arm because there was not enough space at all for the bolt to come out from the bottom of the shock because the sway bar link is completely in the way. So I ended up having to separate that. I didn't have to completely remove it, taking the bolt off was enough, but it gave me enough space to take the bolt out. So I'm gonna pull this old coil out and put the new one in now. All right, the passenger side front coil is finally on. So as I mentioned previously, had to buy a ball joint separator. I also had to use all these extra tools. I finally made it to the other side. Time to take the lugs off and then do all of that terribleness again. I was actually watching an LZ video yesterday. He was putting a new exhaust on his Murcielago Lamborghini. And he was saying like it was the worst mechanical job he's ever done. He would pay $3 grand for it. And these BCs have been sitting on the floor of my room for like 4 months now. So I figured, you know what? He can do all that terrible exhaust work on a Lamborghini. I can put my damn BCs on my chaser, you know? Okay, first order of business. I'm actually gonna loosen the lower bolt on the coilover and see if it'll come out on this side. I think it might have just been situational because I was watching a YouTube video because I was stuck. I was like, how do I do this? Do I have to take the sway bar and link off? Guy just took the upper control arm off and slipped it straight out. But for some reason on the passenger side, the sway bar and link was completely in the way. So I'm gonna go and try to take this one off and we'll see what we have to do here. Okay, so I got my torque wrench on there with the 17. I got the 17 wrench on the other side. And all I did was loosen the bolt head, and then as you can see, I stuffed the wrench up against the brake caliper. And things coming off like butter. Nice. And she's out. Whoop, where's my socket? Okay, we're good. Bolt is not coming out, so this thing is gonna need to be pushed through. Surprisingly, I'm having the same exact problem on this side. So if you can see, the sway bar end link is in the way. So what we're gonna do is we're going to put this Allen key in here towards the brake shield, so I'll set it up close right there so it braces. So I got my Allen key, and then I got a 14-inch wrench over it, like that, and then we just start to loosen. Good God, that was a lot. I didn't even have to take it completely off, and the nut actually clears. So now we're gonna pull it out. Jesus Christ, the bolt is out. All I had to do was push it through with a screwdriver and my trusty hammer. Trusty 10mm. We're taking off this little thing. I think this is for the brake wear sensor, I believe. So we gotta take this off the coil. Okay, we got this little 10mm off. Keep this though, because I did it on the other side. The bolt that the BCs come with, it actually doesn't fit because this bracket, it's not a straight hole through, it's actually threaded. So you have to reuse the bolt from the old coils. Next is these three, 12mm bolts for the top hat. I actually have a strut bar in here, but I don't think it's gonna pose too much of an issue. Maybe right there, but we'll see. Okay, yeah, it's impossible to get to this, so I'm actually going to use a 12. All three top bolts are removed. We're going to move down here and take off the bolt for the upper control arm. The thing we have to do here is take our pliers and we have to pull off this little corner here. Do not bend this. You don't have to mangle it to get it off. All you got to do is take the pressure off of this little corner, pull it straight out. The upper control arm, bro, I'm using an 11/16 socket. I had a 17mm on here earlier, but it felt a little looser than this, which is already loose, but this is about the tightest fitting socket I could find for this. So yeah, 11/16 to get this off. Come on, torque wrench. Oh, punch the fender. Nice. I'm gonna switch to the smaller wrenches. And shoot, flying off. There we go. Calcium nut is off. Okay, now all you do is you push your thumb. Nah, I'm playing. This is like practically impossible to get off here. So what you need is that ball joint puller that we got our handy dandy ball joint puller. And this flat part is actually what's gonna sit in there. You kind of gotta wiggle it in and give it a push. Just get it in there as far as you can. It doesn't have to be flush. I had to push in there pretty tight, but once it's on the top, tighten the bolt on the top. This is not the most ideal location for this, but this part has to be on the dowel or the pins. So, I mean, you know. But yeah, whatever you can fit up here, I'm just using an adjustable wrench. Time to tighten this down. There we go. So now that we got the knuckle separated from the upper control arm, we have our strut bolt from the bottom out, we have our top three bolts out. Now all we got to do is pull this down and get the coil out. I think what I want to do is I want to dislodge it from the bottom first, because that'll give me a lot more leeway instead of trying to take it off the top. Okay, there we go. Fish it around the knuckle just to keep it out of the way. What's the best way to do this? Try not to hit anything. That's not gonna work. All right, never mind, we're going out this way. It's just barely stuck on the tie rod right there. For real. I'm just gonna put my hand over the studs here so it doesn't scrape the fender. There we go. We're good. We back. I feel so much better now. Had some beef and rice, some bok choy. Ready to go now. Oh yeah, I still gotta put the coilover in. Be right back. Actually specific because you can see the bolt for the wear sensors on the right side. So you need to make sure this bolt is on this right side. You got the coil in there mostly. So I'm gonna do the same thing that I did for the other side. The angle is so tough in there that I can only really get one of the top hat studs in. So I'm just putting one in, and then you can see it's just barely close to getting inside that bucket for the strut. So I'm gonna stand on the caliper, and then I'm just gonna wiggle this in with my hand. You just gotta be Hulk to get it in, I guess. Is I grabbed the coil with both hands, and then I just pushed my forearms down on the knuckle itself. There we go. Where did I put those bolts? Or nuts? I found them. Start by putting these in by hands. Dude, this bolt right here is so annoying. There's like this tiny little open way, so I'm going like this the whole time. It's ridiculous. So snug them up, and then we'll go back to the bottom. Okay, top hat bolts are snugged up. I'm actually gonna do this next. So I have to take off this Allen, and there's a little nut at the back, and I'll show you what I did on the other side. Dude, how do I always forget to put my gloves on, bro? Are we for real? My hands were completely clean on the first 3 sides of this damn car, which y'all know about that. Up garage. Okay, as I was saying, time to take this off. Okay, now let's get the Allen in there. I don't even know what size this is, but it fits, so grab this one. Okay, sick. Set this aside or keep them, throw them away, whatever you want to do. You don't need them. And then what we're going to do is we're going to grab the band that the Allen key was holding, and then what I'm going to do is I'm not going to sandwich it, but rather I'm going to put these 2 parts of the clamp, I'm going to clamp them together and then put them over the factory piece so that this will go through and thread into the backside right there. And all you gotta do is snug this up, do not torque it, you're gonna snap it. So make sure that's snug, that's not going nowhere. And then now we're gonna put in the bottom bolt. And if I remember correctly, yeah, the wrench was on this side. So the nut goes here, bolt head goes through here. Okay, let's get the upper control arm dowel back in, there we go. And we got our, that's not it, castle nut, thread it on. Also, a little pro tip, if your castle nut is just spinning with the dowel, push down on the upper control arm and then start to tighten. Okay, remember that tip I just gave you 5 seconds ago? It's not working for me, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my other jack below the knuckle and then just jack it up so that there's tension here so I can tighten the castle nut. I'm not sure if you can see what I'm doing here. So I have the bottom of the knuckle jacked. I got my hand wrapped over the upper control arm. I'm pulling it down towards me, and then I'm tightening the castle nut in small increments, and I can see the dowel is not moving. So I don't know, I guess it just varies on case by case, because the other side went on super easy, but this one started rolling. So okay, time to torque it. I was doing some research online and I saw that the torque spec for the upper control arm bolt to the knuckle is actually only 80 foot-pounds. But I don't know, I'm gonna torque it to there and then just give it another crank, and then that should be good. And to return this pin in, you get the long side. There's a hole at the front of the dowel, or the stud, sorry. If you can't fit it in, then just tighten it or loosen it, you know, whichever you have to do. Push it straight through, and then this clip on the side will actually automatically clip in if you just push it with some pressure. So push it in, there you go, clipped in. So now we gotta torque the bolt for the bottom of the shock. This is tight. Then I gotta torque the sway bar link back on, and I think we're just putting the wheels on, we're good to go. Same deal as last time, I got the Allen wrench in there. It is braced up against the brake shield, and then I'm using a 14-inch wrench and just tightening away. Same deal for the bottom bolt of the strut. I'm gonna throw a 17-inch wrench on top of it. So we got the wrench propped up right there. About to tighten this with the torque wrench. I have an extension on this. I don't believe you're supposed to use extensions on torque wrenches, but I actually don't care. So let's get the tightening. Put it at 100 foot-pounds, maybe just crank it down a little bit and call it good. So the bottom bolt for the strut is torqued. This is tight. Sway bar end link is back on. Upper control arm bolt for the knuckles back on. Now we just got to do the 3 bolts for the top head. I just rounded that. Sick. Okay, well, those are torqued. This is torqued. I think we're good to go. And the final wheel is on. So it look pretty tight. Now I just got to go around all 4 corners and torque them, and then we'll see what it looks like on the ground. Stock bay, good bay. Well, not completely stock. It's still the same height. So I'm gonna have to lower the front, but the rears look good. I mean, I'm on stock wheels, so fitment is terrible, but the height is perfect. So now I gotta go around and torque all these. So coilover install is done. The coils drive amazing. I mean, tenfold better than it did before. Again, shout out to Drift HQ. All I did was email them and they set me up with the correct spring rates, everything. So they made it super easy. So the only thing left to do now is to get an alignment And before I do that, obviously I want to get the ride height to where I want it to be. I don't think I'm going to lower the rear, but I definitely need to lower the front. I'm pretty busy this week, so I don't know when the alignment's going to happen. But I can tell you the next video, we are going to go to our local mountain and test these babies out. See what all the hype's about. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like the video if you liked it, dislike the video if you disliked it, and if you want to see some more videos, hit that subscribe button. Later.